Hey guys, welcome back. So I got something really cool and exciting in the mail today, and if you saw the thumbnail, then you already know what that is. But this is finally dropping on the 1st of June from Give Me Glow Cosmetics. This is the Juicy Olive palette. When I saw the swatches online, I was like, I have to have that right fucking now. So this palette's gonna be releasing on June 1st at noon Central Standard Time. It's gonna retail for $30 US. So this comes in like a glossy unicarton, which has like the palette artwork on it. And then when you open it up, the palette comes inside and it looks just like the outer packaging. It looks just like the unicarton. So when you open it up, it's got a pretty sturdy magnetic closure on it. But when you open it, it has a pretty decent sized mirror. It's got a little plastic sticker, a little peel off guy on the mirror. And as far as the eyeshadows go, they come in these really large pans. There's 4 mattes and 2 shimmers. And I can't wait to get these on my face. Let's go ahead and jump right in. I did use a little bit of the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion in the shade Eden. I just applied that to my lids, blended that out, and again, just set down with some loose powder underneath my eyes. And I actually want to jump right into the fun stuff first. So I'm going to go ahead and apply color to my lid before I go in with any transition, crease color, any of that kind of stuff. I'm actually not even going to lay down any of the NYX glitter primer, just because I want all of you guys to be able to see how these shimmers are going to perform just on a regular eyeshadow primer, which is, I think, probably what most people do. So I figured I'd just kind of, play by your rules for a second, kind of do what you guys are doing and just see how these work out. So I'm just gonna press my finger into the shade Shaken, Not Stirred. Quite a bit comes off on my finger here. Now, I'm familiar with the formula of the Give Me Glow Cosmetics eyeshadows, mostly the shimmers. I do have one of the other mattes, but these ones are really creamy, they're really pigmented, and they apply really, really well. So let's go ahead and see. Right away, I mean, look how opaque that is. It goes on really, really easily. Definitely some fallout, but again, it's eyeshadow. There's always gonna be fallout. But yeah, that packs on there really quickly, really easily. And just by kind of dabbing it out with my finger like this, we are getting a nice little blend. Obviously, I'm gonna go in there with a brush here in a minute and just kind of blend that out even further, because my finger is only gonna do so much before I end up fucking shit up. And again, I'm kind of pressing and dragging, like a little press and drag motion on the lid. I don't want to go too far into the inner corner with my finger, because then I'm just going to make a giant mess all over the place. And I'm curious to see how that applies with a brush as well. So I'm going to take this little MAC shader brush. This is the, fuck if I know, it's so old that the numbers are wore off. So I'm going to press into the shadow with my brush, tap off the excess. And I've actually been taking my shimmery shades quite a bit higher lately. I've got this droopy skin forming on this eyelid right here. You can see more visible lid space on this eye than you can this eye, because this little fold is starting to hang down. So I've been taking all of my shimmer tones, or anything that I'm gonna put on my lid, and taking it up much higher. And it's just kind of creating a fake crease. So you do what you gotta do until you can afford to get some surgery to actually fix the problem. Because again, I'm getting older, gravity is taking a hold of my face, it's kind of drooping everything down. And my demographic seems to be a little bit older, so I feel like most of my viewers tend to be closer to my age. So we are all starting to face the same issues. I mean, I feel like we have so many young kids in this beauty community who are, you've got this young, perfect, supple skin. You don't have any of the sagging and the bagging and all that shit going on yet. But if you really think about it, as far as being like a young looking adult, you've got about 10 years. You've got your 20s. And even some people in their late 20s look like they're more like 35 pushing 40. So as far as like makeup application, and as far as like what all of these kids, all of these big beauty influencers are doing, if you're kind of paying attention to those channels and you're taking tips and tricks from what these kids are doing, that's all fine and that's all good if you're that age, but you're only going to be able to do that for a really short amount of time. And then things are gonna start sagging, things are gonna start falling, your pores are gonna get bigger, lines are gonna be more apparent. So again, that is shaken, not stirred. You've seen it applied with a finger, you've seen it applied with a packing brush. And in both cases, I mean, the opacity, the payoff. I mean, I think if you look at it compared to what it looks like in the palette, I think it's pretty much spot on. So again, I'm curious to see how this will apply on top of a glitter primer because it'll have a lot of fucking pop then. I'm gonna take this same brush and I'm just gonna kind of wipe it off on a towel. And then I'm just gonna flip it around and I'm gonna go into the shade Garnish. It's brighter and it's intense, but it's not quite what's on my nails, you know what I mean? And I want to take that color and I want that to be the inner corner and kind of bring that over top of the first shade that I laid down. Kind of bring it onto the lid a little bit here. So this is actually the lightest and the brightest shade in this palette. So if you want something that's really gonna be like an inner corner highlight or a brow bone, you're definitely gonna have to find that in something else in your collection. I also wanna take that on my finger just to see how that does. I wanna see if that packs any more intensity onto a pre-existing eyeshadow. That make a difference? I think that made a little bit of a difference there. Because again, I want to show you guys the difference between finger application and brush application. And so far, both of the shimmers do really well in either case. So whichever way you choose to use these shimmers, it's going to work. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to take that same shade on the tips of this brush and then bring that just underneath the inner corner part of the lower lash line. Now let's go ahead and get into the matte. I'm gonna take the shade Vodka Teeny on this Morphe R39. I'm just kind of lightly pressing into that shadow. There's definitely a little bit of kick up, which is to be expected. I feel like with these really pigmented eyeshadows, I feel like the ones that work the best have the most fallout and the most kick up. So I don't mind that. Again, I just prepare. I just lay down some powder. Or again, if you want to do your eyes before you do your base, do that too. That's totally fine. But I'm gonna take that and I'm just gonna start to press it along the edge of that shaken, not stirred color and just kind of blend that in a little bit. That color packs on really nice and it blends out really easily. And then on the same brush, I'm gonna dip into Dirty Martini, which is almost more of like a darker army green. And then I am going to press that into the lower lash line. And I'm not looking at what I'm doing right now, so I'm hoping that I don't have like a crazy embarrassing amount of fallout happening from this one single shade. Also with this order, I got 7 single shadows. I did get another matte because I was really interested to play around with some of the other matte shades from this line, and I got a bunch of shimmers. Yeah, I think I got 6 shimmers and I got 1 more matte, and I got some pretty obnoxious colors. I'm pretty pumped to play around with some of them. So expect to see more looks from Give Me Glow Cosmetics on my channel and on my Instagram for sure. So I'm gonna use a Morphe M507 and I am going to dip into the shade Cocktails. Again, with these shadows that have a lot of kick up, these really pigmented shadows, don't go in and just start swirling your brush around in there or even like really tapping into it. Very gently just press into those shadows. And that's still gonna be too much, so you're still gonna wanna tap off the excess. I'm just gonna take that shade and that is going to be our darkest shade. We're gonna build up in the crease and then just kind of swiftly tapping up and down, but then back and forth as well, so that you still get that like windshield wiper motion kind of effect without blending and sweeping away eyeshadow. Which actually, let's go ahead and just see. Let's go ahead and see what happens if we do use a windshield wiper motion. Because again, sometimes you'll do that and you'll sweep away the formula, or it'll get patchy, or where you've been swiping back and forth will get like a bald spot, you know what I mean? So let's just see if this formula does that. Let's go ahead and swipe back and forth, swipe back and forth. No, we still have the same amount of product. I feel like we have the same amount of depth, the same amount of dimension right there. So again, guys, get on this shit. These indie brands are fucking killing it. Like, you guys are never gonna see me spend like $100 or $200 or whatever obnoxious price it is for like a Pat McGrath palette, where the formula seems to be like half-assed. I am definitely going to stick with something like a Morphe, which is really affordable and those shadows work really well. There's definitely some hit and miss. There's definitely some crappy shadows somewhere in there, but overall, their formula is really good. But these fucking indie brands, Give Me Glow, JD Glow, Vanessa's Vanity, she's got some awesome fucking shadows. And actually Tati a few months ago had featured Vanessa's Vanity on her channel, and she went apeshit over the vintage champagne color, and that one is just beautiful. I actually need to place another order with them. There's some multi-chrome shadows that came out that I want to play around with. Then I'm gonna take an E36, very gently dip into Cocktails, and then kind of press that right into the lower lash line. And then blend that lower out with a little bit more of Dirty Martini. Go in with just a little bit more Vodka-tini up here. I just want to blend it a little bit more. Wing that out a little bit further, I guess. Sometimes I like my eyeshadow, the shape of it to be a little bit more elongated that way. Because I have this big moon face, so if I elongate everything and make my features look just a little bit larger, it kind of helps to make my face look a little bit smaller. So that's what I think anyway. I want to use all 6 shades in this palette, so even if it gets lost and even if you really can't see it, I want to use it anyway. Let's go ahead and use the shade Dry Martini. Press into that. I don't know if it's going to make all that much difference. It just kind of blends right in, so. But there, now I can say I used all 6 shades of this palette in one eye look. Okay, so let me go ahead and clean up this fallout, get on some liner, some mascara, and all that shit, and then we'll come back to wrap this up. So I finished up this look with some Coffee eyeliner by MAC on the waterline, the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise and the waterproof formula, Soar Lip Glass by MAC, which is now a lipstick, by the way. I need to pick that up. I'm picking that up tomorrow. And then my own custom highlighter by Posh Pepper Beauty. This is in the shade Glam Gold, and I thought it would go along really well with this eye look. So that's gonna be it. That is my first impression, my very first time using the Juicy Olive palette by Give Me Glow Cosmetics. And again, this is launching June 1st at noon Central Time, and it retails for $30 US. Guys, I mean, it speaks for itself. You guys watched me put this on camera. The quality, the colors, the blendability, everything about it is just so good. Pick it up. You will not be disappointed. It's funny, I actually have a bunch of other stuff in my cart that I'm definitely gonna go ahead and pick up. I want all of their shadows. I want all of it. They're so good. And that's pretty much gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much to Give Me Glow Cosmetics for sending me this out early. Ask and you shall receive, I guess. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.